happiness. And my life was totally changed. My life totally changed. You understand? The peace that he put inside of my heart. I no longer, I'm no longer going around and, you know, because you can see that people, when people are not happy, everywhere they go, they look hungry. You know, 12 years I was being single. And I always told him, the Lord, I'm not going to look for any man. And if there is a money coming into my life, I want you to show me. You, if that money is must be coming from you, and there must be a sign that person has come from me. And it was, I remember those days when it was night time when I was talking to Lord about it. And from that day, I have been single and not looking for anyone. Not that I could come across to someone, but many times it was obvious not the will of God. And but the Lord has never appointed me to anyone. But then suddenly one day, we discuss about today I'm just discussing about freedom. What exactly freedom means, and what is freedom? When people say that, you know what, I have freedom, I am free. You understand what is that exactly mean? And sometimes we celebrate freedom, and we can celebrate freedom as country, as like in Inama, my country, every 9th of December, we celebrate freedom in our country. This is the day when we acquired our freedom from English people. That time when our country was in Tanzania, was the colony um, of English people. And yes, we celebrate freedom because there are things that when you celebrate freedom, we always think about that it is God who has given us the freedom. Because, but my question is, what is exactly the freedom we were celebrating, where the people were not allowed to marry? They were actually allowed to marry, and they were marrying, yeah, and they were doing everything they wanted. But why did they actually? What do they really celebrate those days? So they celebrate freedom. They say that we freedom, our freedom, because it is true that in that time, something good that I'm so very, very, even if myself, very happy those days when we celebrate freedom. We remember that our country is the only country, maybe one of the country, or maybe the country that acquired its freedom through, through peace. This is something good, and it is placing our nation, Tanzania, to be the unique, in a very unique and very special people. It makes us to be very special people because we are the only one in our country that we were able to kick the people, the colons, um, out only through discussion, not war. And it makes us to be so very peaceful people. And this is something that it makes us so very both happy and maybe I can say proud of us, of ourselves, is that we are it makes us to be very unique and in somehow. And even sometimes when we come into the conflict, we also remind, then we come to the point, maybe there's some two political parties or whatever it is, and we come to the point they started to, they wanted to make war. And we remember that this our position as a very peaceful people is something that nobody shall take for granted, and it's something that it keep us into a very special position. Hallelujah. So this is something that we are very proud of. And in myself, I feel like I'm very proud of coming from this nation, is that of very peaceful people. But it was true that it was a man called Julius Nyerere who was a politician, and he was very wise, that he was able to stand and he talk to make, only through his speeches he made these English people to pack their bags and leave. um, even if it was not that very easy, but he fought the good fight until the Tanzania acquired its freedom through only discussion. And we thank God every time when we come to this, the day 9th of December, when we celebrate our, say, freedom. Why do we think that we celebrate freedom? Yes, it is true that we were able to, they were doing everything they were doing. I mean, but because it positioned us into a very, it has positioned us into, um, it put us into a very bad position as a people, because in those days it was like a curse to be black. I remember my father was telling me, because he said he was the one who was living during that time. He said that to be black, it was like a curse those days, meaning that when you're black, you can go to a restaurant, it is written no blacks, no dogs. It means that blacks and dogs were put in the same category, and in some restaurants, it is not allowed um, it was not allowed for for blacks to enter into those restaurants, and even those restaurants. So it affected them so much psychologically. And he said that when in those days there are some streets the blacks were not allowed even to go, and when you see them walk on the street, it was like small gods are walking around on the street. It made them to feel so bad and so very like half people. But thank God, through the wisdom of this man, Julius Nyerere, think about how far this man, how much this man fought. He went to this, through, he fought the good fight. He went to this, this international organization, through international organizations and everywhere, until Englishmen, they thought, they just I think they were guilty, I don't know. They decided to pack and leave. Thank God. So when we celebrate 9th of December, we always remember him. He is the best thing to remember. He is called the Father of Nation until today. But we never only end up that. In our prayer, even in our national anthem, we always start with God bless Tanzania. This is something about we always include God in our everything, because we believe that without God, we could not acquire this 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 freedom that we have also we talk about. Oh, now I'm talking about the politics. Am I becoming a politician now? No, but anyway, I'm talking about freedom. And during those time, we had freedom. We that does not mean that we were not the people. It is true that we were people were so much. It means that if Africans or blacks were so much limited to what they could do as human, because they were like this. I would say that they were not allowed to go into some other restaurants, even if they like to go there, they will not allow you to go, because when they are black. And think about when they are not allowed to go to some streets, it was like it prohibited for Africa, for blacks to go. At the same time, to be black, it was like you feel. My uncle won lotto. My uncle won lotto, and he was not allowed to. He was afraid. He was in lotto. He won a Mercedes Benz, but he was not allowed to. He was afraid to drive that car, because he knew that the white man could not allow him. Maybe they could take it from him, so he decided to sell it instead. So all the things they were telling me, that is how they were feeling from inside these people. So to acquire this freedom, it was something, it was a great blessing. And yes, we should celebrate it. But why? How do we celebrate? Do we include God in our celebration, or we include ourselves? And do we think that everything we did by our own power? Even if we talk about it, there was one man called Julius Nyerere. He was being able to make these people leave us alone, but still we always must include God in our in that. That's why even in our national anthem we include God by saying God bless Tanzania. You understand? So my topic here is going somewhere else now. But I'm talking about freedom, that even if now we are free, but still we must put ourselves into um what do we what our freedom is still the freedom must we must all agree that um like when we are teaching even the kids, we are teaching when the kids are small, we are telling, we let them do their things in the diapers. But when they come time, we let them, we do not allow them to do their in the, they must go to toilet. Do you understand what I mean? And if you understand that, you understand that we are not, by making them go to toilet, it does not mean that we are taking their freedom from, because it is so comfortable to do it in the diapers, but we prepare them to become people. At the same time, when they grow up, we all must, when we wanted to, yeah, we must use the toilet. We cannot just do everywhere. So by doing that, we become in harmony with our everyone in the society, or otherwise we are. But this is some kind of freedom, as a freedom of feeling that comfortable with doing things that can bring you into the harmony with your society. It is a freedom. That is a freedom. That we do not mean that we, I just don't know what you, I can explain it here. It's like, but we need freedom that can make us do things, and we at the same time we have that a harmony with ourselves. At the same time, we have a harmony with our Creator. Because if the freedom, we do things that can bring us into regret in the future, that means that this freedom is not freedom. This is one Jesus, he told the Jews in those days. He said that when I set you free, you will become free indeed. Even if the Jews, all those days, they were telling Jesus, we have never been slave of anyone. What do you tell us you wanted to make us free? And Jesus answered them, every sinner is a slave of sin. But if I set free, you become free indeed. What it means, the sin, the power of sin does not have any effect in your life. That means that when you can live your life without thinking that you need to sin, this is wonderful, isn't it? If you have your life, you think that you can live your life, you do not need to depend on anything that will give you regret in the future. That is true freedom. Like, when the people who are taking drugs, how these drugs, they have destroyed their lives. When you walk around, you are nothing than just a drug. You are, what do they call these people who are taking drugs? You're just, you know how they are. You know, you no respect in the society because of that. Sometimes you feel like you wish you could stop taking drugs so you could live in harmony in your society. Many people who has been taking drugs. Even I remember there was a man who was taking drugs, and Jesus set him free. Every time when he remembered this, he cried. He says that drugs set me into slavery for a long time. I was taking drugs. I was not a proper person. I was stealing so that I could get drugs. We understand. was stealing from people, stealing. So stealing from people, stealing from even my, he was stealing from his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was very um patient, but with him, but he didn't know what to do. But one day Jesus set him free. And from that day, he did not take drugs any longer. And he felt like his life came back. He felt like he was dead and he came back to life. And this is the kind of freedom everyone wants, that to live and be in harmony with the people around you, the people, your friends, your family. Your family is happy because of you. And you understand. But when you come to the point that you'd want to give so much to your family, but you can't, that is slavery. Understand? So we all need that freedom. I I just wanted to give you my example of me, Joyce. Since when Jesus set me free, because before that, I always was depending on people for my happiness. I always thought that without some people, we all need people to depend on our emotions, so to feel good, or to feel alive, or to be able to perform, to live. I mean, so I always, in my heart was always, I should be together with someone. And to be honest, I came to the point I was very hurt because of that. Because what you expect from other people, maybe you will not get exactly what the people cannot deliver from what you are expecting from them. And maybe when people think that life is always like this, is that when you are together with people, when you are depending on them, and because sometimes even in these films, they really lie to us. When you live and watching on the film, and you think that when you become together with someone, you will expect exactly from the film. And when you if they cannot deliver what you feel hurt, isn't it? But then I came to the point and I realized that I do not depend on anyone for myself to be happy. I actually depend. And since those days when I accepted, when I was together with Jesus, I started to learn to depend on Jesus Christ for my happiness. And my life was totally changed. My life totally changed. You understand? The peace that he put inside of my heart, I no longer I'm no longer going around and, you know, because you can see that when people are not happy, everywhere they go, they look hungry. You understand? But to be honest, since when Jesus set me free, um, those days, because I was also in I was some kind of a person who was always thinking about it. I cannot be happy without people. I must depend on someone. I must have someone. I've been single for a very long time. Really, very long time. I've been single for a very long time. We're talking about 12 years I was being single. And I always told him, the Lord, I'm not going to look for any man. And if there is a man coming into my life, I want you to show me. If that money must be coming from you, and there must be a sign that person has come from me. And it was, I remember those days when it was night time when I was talking to Lord about it. And from that day, I have been single and not looking for anyone. Not that I could come across to someone, but many times it was obvious not the will of God. And but the Lord has never appointed me to anyone. But then suddenly one day something happened, and the Lord showed me someone. And this person that I've been shown, I never even thought myself that I never knew him before, you understand? I was shown someone without even I know him. I mean, I knew who he was. And I'm just going to talk about this when everything, maybe I will reveal even more of what I've been shown. But today I say that when I was shown that person, I never even knew him, who he was. And it just became a dream. And one day when I come very close to him, then first I was like, it was hidden from me. And so suddenly, it my brain was open. It was like I came to, I said, but wait a minute, this guy, I was sure in the dream. They look so much like, he looks so much like him. And then I say, "Hmm, I did not say so much about this. But then there were some other signs they started to show. Things were started to show, both in physical but also in the spiritual realm. And so the Lord revealed even more to me. And one day again, the Lord showed me, talked to me in the dream. In the dream, the Lord talked to me. And after when the Lord talked to me, and I was shown him again. And in his repetition, I was shown him again in another dream, and I was shown again in the vision. I was one day praying, and then so the things started to happen, and from that time I started to say. So I was directed to speak. Okay, I'm just going. I'm going too far now. But then after that, the fear started to come. I was started to be afraid. I say, what if it is not the Lord? What if it is the devil who tried to trap me? What if it is the Lord? It is not the Lord. So I started to be afraid. But then I was, it is, it is, I was asking the Lord some questions sometime. And so the Lord, it was one day I was, after when I was asking the Lord, there are some things that was putting me into fear. And when I slept, I got another dream. And just after when I finished talking, I had another dream. And that dream was telling me not to fear, because God will take care of everything. I should not fear of anything. You know, the dream was telling me, because after when I woke up, when I analyzed that dream, it was telling me that I have nothing to fear. But it is true that sometimes I I always tell the Lord, if this something is what you have is coming from you, let your will be done. And if not, let it burn away in Jesus' name. Because I will, I always tell the Lord, let your will be done in my life, not my will. Because I know it is the will of God that will bring me to the right direction. If it is the devil wanting to trap me, so it is not going to be good. And that's why I am always afraid. You know why I'm afraid? I'm afraid because I know that God has invested so much inside of me. And God has given me so much. And I have been, since when I have been living my life as a born again Christian, and I have been trying myself to put myself into who I am. Everything that I am now, I am absolutely very proud of it. Even if I can say that I'm very happy and I'm very proud. And this is something I don't want anything that I have got from it shall just go in vain or disappear or destroyed. And for me, those things I think have so much value inside of my life. And thinking myself that being, as I said, that losing it, it will give me so much. It will take everything from me. And this is something about that always I am just saying that I do not want it to end up in regret, because it is not good. But I believe that every time it is same like God is with it. And every time when I talk to God about anything, God always he responds very fast. Even when I'm praying for him, you see that when I pray for him, the Lord, the power of Holy Spirit come down like you know, and the Lord showed that to me that in even in real life that he is so much together in this process. So my always my doubt was about what if why did God actually could connect me with someone like him? Because I always think that if God has connected me with someone like him, why? Mm, because to be honest, if God has never been connected me with a sub person, I would never have any interest with him. Just to be honest, because I have been always, even if when I would have been always looking for people in total different category, because I am always I'm a kind of person always, because I fear God and so much more. I'm always after people who are in the same category as me. Oh, but why did should God actually connect me with this person? But then I say that God never make mistakes, or God can never make mistake. And because if God has done that, it's because He has a purpose, and for that His purpose to be done. And this is what so for me, I trust the process. I trust everything. I trust what God is showing me. At the same time, I continue to say that let the will of God be done in our lives, of course. And I always say that if it is not maybe something, even when it's sometimes when things are happening, it look like things are getting destroyed. I always say that if the will of God is there, things are going to pass. And it is not that I am so much um, I'm not afraid to lose. As I can say that no, but I always say that I so much depend on the will of God, and I always put myself there. There is a lot of things that are happening, even if things that which make me so much scared is um as I said that I am afraid to be trapped into a trap that I cannot get out, especially when because as I say that of what God has invested inside of me, nothing shall be destroyed, and nothing shall. I'm just giving you one example of one story. I just remember this story. I remember it was a past, and I was there is a pastor, our friend. He was a very good friend of mine. It was a pastor, but he's a very good friend of mine. Not only him, also his wife, they are very good friends of mine. But I always saw them very close to me, and actually they have helped me a lot in those days when I was those days when before when I become born again. They to come to become who I have always have had respect for them so much. But there was one day, I'm just speaking it because it is the truth, and this is the first time I speak about it. I've never told anyone about this, only today. And I one day I was in the church, and of course his wife was, And when I came also, he told me his wife was in vacation together with the kids, so he was home alone. And those days there was not so many people in the church, but he told me so many people has gone to vacation. It was summer. So after we finish church, so he I met him at the door and he asked me, Joyce, would you come to just be with me home and make food for? I was looking at him. He was not looking like he was looking for food. He wanted food actually. I was asking myself, is this pastor looking for food or for something else? I truly loved this pastor so much because, but it was not thus the way that the way you understand. And when he asked me, shall we be with me home to make food so you can make food for me? I was asking, food? You want food? Or I did not say anything. That's because I respected him so much. I just found myself saying, okay. So we went together with him at home. And when we get together at home, I went inside the house. To be honest, I was very, very afraid. I was very, very afraid. I was shaking. I came into the house. I came, and he went to sit in the living room. So I went to the kitchen. I started to, but when I saw in the, I opened the fridge. I saw his wife had made food and he has kept the food in the fridge. It was like for me, I thought that he could just take the food from the fridge that his wife has made and just warm in the microwave and eat. So I was asking, does mean that he didn't see it or he didn't know? But I'm asking myself again, does it mean that he cannot make food for himself? Because I remember one time when we went to for the overnight prayers. We came and there was some food that he prepared. He says, and we heard that even that day when his wife was home, but their food was prepared, and he said that it was him who made it. But why did he call me really? But then I said, okay, because he called me, I will make food for him. So I took the food from the fridge and from the freezer and made for him. It was African food because they're Africans, so I knew that we Africans what we like. So I made food that was. Then I put it on the table, and then I went to tell him I am leaving. But when I just to be honest, when I was inside there, I started to start to think about, yeah, it is me and it is pastor, and I was just wondering. I was thinking that, woo, 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 that means even if nobody was there, nobody could ever know anything, nobody could ever think, but God could see everything. Think about that could be the end of my salvation, the respect that I have inside of myself. That could be the end of everything that God has invested inside of me. That could be the end of everything. It did not make me feel so very comfortable. At the same time, I was really, really say that this is something that this is who I am, and who I something that I always think every time when I meet people that I do not want to destroy what God has invested inside of me. So this is who I am, and this is who I have become. But then after I went, I just told him I am leaving. From that day, because he didn't say anything, really, he didn't tell me anything else than that. He just told me, "Ah, thank you, God bless you so much." So I just decided it. I said, "Okay, bye bye," and then I left. I was thinking, even when I was leaving, I was asking myself, did he really mean it that he wanted me to go to make food for him? That because he could not make food for himself? or there was something, he had some other thoughts. But from that day, I decided I will never, I don't know, I'm not going back to the church because he did not tell me anything really that bad. Is that I decided, I said that I'm not going to tell anyone. To be honest, I speak today even if nobody knows who I'm talking about. But I just say that it is just a very good example of what wanted to explain who that person I am and who that person I have become. Um, I'm always a person who is really fearing God and actually fearing to lose what I have got. And as according to the word of God, it say, "What shall it benefit someone to get the whole world and himself lose his soul?" This is the world that I am living in in my life always. So every time I say that, let the will of God be in my life, not anybody's will. And I know that I'm just trying to say that our freedom shall always we all shall always think about because we not because we are free that means that we can do everything or we can be with anyone we want. No, that means there are some people you will love to be with someone, but that person cannot be available. That it does not, you must be able to limit yourself and put yourself into the will of God. We always must think that I can be interested with someone, but this someone can be not available, even if they can be before you allow your heart to go inside there. You must ask yourself, is this person available or is it available for me? There are two things, available and available for me. And if you have it in your heart, you will think that I will not just fall in love with everyone. I must put myself first into the calculation first before I allow my heart to be trapped somewhere or to be stuck somewhere. I'm also always must ask myself if this person is actually available. If somebody is married, that means he's not available. But someone can be single, but also still not available for me because why? Because don't think that anyone you can be interested with someone, but what if that person is not interested with you? So you will be going around being hurt. You understand? For nothing. So life is always about putting yourself into the limits. You cannot say that we cannot live the life that is limitless. It is totally impossible. That everyone who I wanted to be with, I must be together with. I must sleep with anyone I want. I must go. Yeah, that freedom is always limited by things that which are important, that we can be in harmony with ourselves. We can also be in harmony with people around us. We can also be in harmony with anyone. You understand? And this in the long run is bringing us to become human. Otherwise we are not human, maybe we are just animals. But even animals knows their limits also. The animals knows exactly their limits. It is something good about animals. They know, because we humans sometimes we think that we are better than human animals. Even animals knows when, and you understand, not every time. So all of the things we must always think that God is absolutely good to us, and when we put ourselves into something good, he can bring us into, he can also give us the good things, nice things that everyone else, maybe people will be wondered, why, how did you acquire to, how did you come into this, closer to this? It is only God who can make this possible. So we must put ourselves into the will of God, so to make sure that at the end of the time we become rewarded with the great things. Just trying to tell the people that just to put ourselves, when you are together with, when you especially so for we women, it is not good to be together with someone and then you find out that this someone, maybe you feel bad, you feel maybe misused, you feel um to get the feelings of being misused, and sometimes they will think that men are bad, or sometimes you come to the point we started to hate men. But to be honest, it is because we are not able to limit ourselves. Women when can be misused, women can be um can feel like you've been molested or something like that. But to be honest, it is because of ourselves. Praise the living God. I'm just praying that may God give us the wisdom to understand that where our limits to be able to put our freedom into the limit of the will of God in the name of Jesus.